was this spring so far compared to previous ones? Is it a little more back to normal?
I honestly, it feels pretty normal. Besides the mask wearing and all that, it has a normal feel to it, much more normal than I'd say summer camp felt or even the season. Maybe that's because we're kind of used to the protocols and just how everyday life works. But it's been a good vibe. Definitely feels normal-ish, and I think we're all excited about that.
Christian, you told us in summer camp last year that you weren't able to do a lot at home in LA during that 3-month shutdown. How was it this off season? Was it any more relaxed, or did you still have to stay buttoned up?
I wasn't out there the entire time, so I was able to do what I needed in the off season. It was a normal off season routine for me. I felt good. Was able to get all the work in that I needed and come into spring training feeling like I normally would in a regular year.
Christian Lorenzo made it sound like you really got yoked up in the offseason, that you really hit the weights hard. Is that true? Did you do anything different, and do you feel stronger?
I wouldn't say anything different. I'd say I'm probably where I usually am coming into a season, not post-rehab or anything like that. I'd say as same as 18 or 19. Spring training last year was kind of a little weird because it wasn't the normal off season because of rehab and all that. So probably didn't come in exactly where I usually would be if I was able to be healthy and do the same workout and baseball routines for spring. But I feel good, so there we go.
Christian, having some distance.
Speaking of Locaine, how good was it to see him? It must have been good to see.
Yeah, it was good. I spoke to him a few times while I was gone. FaceTime. He's got an iPhone now, so you can FaceTime him. So we did that a few times, and it's not the same as in person, obviously. So it's good to see him walk through those doors, and, be here with everybody. And he's picked up like he never left. So it's good to have him. He's a big part of our clubhouse. Looking forward to having him on the team this year. Go ahead, Adam.
Christian, with some time now to sort of have digested all the craziness of last year, what did you think of your 2020 season performance-wise?
I thought it went pretty good. How about you?
Well, I think the numbers were better at the end than they were at the beginning. I'm wondering if you see, if you thought about that a little differently by the end than you did in those first couple of weeks when you were obviously pretty frustrated.
No, I thought it was pretty much all around terrible. I don't know. It just wasn't good. But hey, it is what it is, man. It's baseball. That stuff happens. Can't change it now. Can't do anything about it. I tell you guys every year that good or bad, the previous year doesn't really mean anything. You can't do anything about it. So whether you were an MVP the previous year or you sucked, everybody starts at zero in spring training in a new year. And, we live in a business where it's what have you done for me lately? And, what I've done lately is played terribly. So, looking forward to a fresh start and getting start on a new year.
Hey, Christian, you also said that last year was a weird year, of course. You said that a bunch of times last year. I'm just kind of curious, like, if there was anything that maybe you could kind of take away that you learned from that season that you can apply toward this year, even though it was a weird year with maybe singular sort of variables that may not or may exist in the season.
I think this year is going to be similar but different going forward. We're going to have the possibility of having fans, just being used to protocols. Hopefully a light at the end of the tunnel for all this stuff. I think last year it was just, you didn't really know how long all this was going to go on, what was happening, pretty much in the middle of the pandemic. So I don't know if there's too much that applies to this year from last year, other than that you've just been through these experiences. It's not as much of a shock. Last year, whatever routine you had kind of got thrown out the window. It's like, too bad. That's how it is this year. Now you kind of come into the new year with a better understanding what's ahead of you and how to deal with it. So Like I said earlier, I think it was to Adam, where it's like, hey, it's a fresh start, it's a new year. It's just hard to really base anything off of prior years in any season. Steve, go ahead.
Just having at least partial access to video, but at least with the iPad stuff, how much of a difference can that make for you, do you think? Or how much of a factor was that last year?
That's not going to change anything for me. I'm not a big in-game video guy. I just don't like it. I feel like whatever swing you have that day is the swing you have. I don't love trying to make too many in-game adjustments or watch all my swings or do all that stuff after at bats, because hey, it's not the time to change it, in my opinion. So I'm more of a pre-game video guy. Like I'll watch the previous night's at bats or something like that. But as far as in-game, never really been my thing. So it wasn't a factor for me last year. That was fine for me. So yeah.
Christian, from a team standpoint, how do you guys look at last season overall? You got to where you wanted to go, which is the playoff, but you probably didn't get there the way that you wanted. What's the mood now as you kind of build on that going into this year?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we should discredit the fact that we made the playoffs last year, just because of how tough of a year that really was. And to be able to do that as a group, like, yeah, we didn't come steamrolling into the playoffs by any means, but we got there, and a lot of teams didn't get there. So I think that's something that you should be proud of, and especially in a year like that. And I definitely think there's room for improvement. I think everybody who was here last year can acknowledge the fact that we didn't play our best as a team. It wasn't the best showing all around, and I think we're going to be better this year. And looking forward to hopefully an entire season, a regular camp, and just playing that 162 out and going from there. But like I said, definitely don't ever want to discredit when you make the playoffs, and with all the outstanding circumstances from last year. Still a great accomplishment for the group.
Hey, Christian, I am curious about going more about fans in the stands. Craig Counsell, we spoke to him the other day, and he had mentioned that unquestionably that's the biggest difference from 2019 to 2020, and what I would imagine potentially 2020 to 2021. And he said that you guys are all entertainers at the end of the day, and there are some players in particular that feed off of that energy more than others. I'm curious for you, how important are fans to your success? And do you feed off of that energy more or less than maybe some other guys?
I think we're all excited as a group. Like Count said, it was a noticeable difference last year. They have the crowd noise, but it's just not, it's not the same. It was basically a white noise static. I'm sure you guys could hear it from the press box or wherever they had you. But I think we're really excited. Fans create the atmosphere. We're all looking forward to having them back in whatever capacity allowed that it starts out as, and then hopefully gradually increase that as we return to a normal world. But I'm not going to say that not having fans is what affected my performance last year. Like, I'm not going to say that, oh, if we had fans, I would play good, or if we didn't have a pandemic, I would have played good. Like, hey, it is what it is. Guys played good last year, played well, so it's not an excuse. But I'm definitely excited to have them back. We miss them. They're a huge part of what we do as a team, especially in Miller Park. I think it makes that a big home field advantage and something that we all missed as a group.
Christian, we all know you're not an excuse maker, but in the final analysis, did you ever really sit down and can you pinpoint what you think was the biggest factor last year for you in terms of the difficulties? Was it not having a full spring training? You had only played a couple games before it was shut down. The weirdness of COVID, was it a combination of things, or have you really not even bothered trying to analyze it?
No, I have a few ideas of what it was, and I don't really want to get into it or go too deep into why, but yeah, I feel like I know and have a handle on it as far as some other people do as well. So, but it is what it is. It's, you can't change it. It happens. What are you going to do?
Christian, without breaking down too many numbers, two things that really stood out. Your hard hit rate was very good last year, as good as it's ever been. So you were hitting in Buzzard's luck a lot too. And I wonder if that you took any solace in that. And then the other thing was your swing rate was down pretty significantly. Well, what do you make of those two factors in particular?
Baseball, it's just a weird game. You take a sample of 60 games and that stuff can happen. It's just, sometimes you hit the ball hard and they catch it and they're standing there. Sometimes you don't hit hard and nobody's there. It's a hit. So that's always been the game of baseball, will always continue to be the game of baseball. And, I feel like some years you're really lucky, some years you're not. But there was a lot of factors that really went into it. And after looking back on it and kind of understanding it, that I have a feeling knowing kind of what happened and hopefully able to turn that around this year.
Obviously, last year was different because you came into spring coming off the injury, but is your approach this spring any different than maybe entering other spring trainings in the past when you've been healthy, or have you gone any difference in your routine other than obviously the protocols and stuff?
No, this is going to be regular spring training for me, like it would in any year. Like I said, it's going to be similar to 18, 19 when, it's coming in shape, coming feeling good, and just get ready to play out the regular spring training schedule. Regular space in between games, ease into it, that whole deal. Hopefully ramp up, stay healthy till opening day.
Christian, one
Christian,
thing
do you
that's
do
not.
anything-
Go ahead,
do you do
Adam.
anything- Do you do anything interesting in the off season? Did I hear you right at the beginning that maybe you got out of California for a while?
Yeah, I bounced around a little bit, did some stuff. I went and saw Haynes in Nashville for a while. So it was good to see him do that. Did some other things with a couple of buddies in some places. I know that's pretty vague, but we'll keep it vague. And, yeah, it wasn't as much traveling or as much stuff as I would usually do in off season just because of the pandemic and everything that was going on. But yeah, I definitely wasn't in California a ton. I was a little bit. I saw Bronny all the time. It still worked out together, did that whole deal, but did a little bit of traveling. Lance, go ahead.
Christian, that's what I was going to ask you is one thing that is different with camp is no Ryan Braun. Your buddy isn't there. What is it like to be in a camp without him?
Yeah, it's a little different. But it's a thing that happens in the game. Guys retire, guys move on, guys get traded, guys aren't around. But him having been a staple of this place for a really long time, definitely some adjusting to. I have to talk to Shogger all the time because he misses his buddy, and got to talk him through the day and make sure he's going to make it. But other than the added responsibility of that, I think we're doing well, and it's something that we as a group are going to have to deal with because as of right now he's retired and living life.
You're obviously plenty motivated under any circumstance, but because of the way last year went, does it give you a chip on your shoulder, any extra motivation or anything like that? Or is it just something that's kind of in your rearview mirror?
I don't know. I feel like you need to be motivated every year. If you're not motivated, stay home, kind of, in my opinion. If you're not, the Major League season requires so much out of you. It asks for a lot, and you have to give the game a lot. And if you're not willing to meet the game at that level, it's not going to go well for you. So, like I said, previous seasons are irrelevant in my opinion. They have no bearing on what you can do in the future. Every year's a fresh start.
Okay, we'll take one more.
Christian, can you tell us a little more about that time with Andy? How long were you there, and just what do you think that might do for you going into this year?
I don't want to go too far into it, but it's cool for me to have like a special relationship with Andy. Like I've known him for so long, and I know him so well that we're in contact a lot. I'm able to talk to him, and I trust him and get to know him. I've known him for probably 12 years now, and he's known me since I was 18 years old, and seen me in a lot of different stages in my career. He's seen me play really well. Been through a lot together, so I had no hesitation really I really wanted to go out there. Just, it's a different environment. You can really work on some things. You can really just take your time and do whatever. So that's what we wanted to do, and thought it was a productive trip.
All right, thanks, Christian. Just a reminder, we'll have Avisail Garcia coming up in about 12 minutes. We'll see everybody then. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Christian.
Thanks, Chris.